Bottoms up, baby. You gave me permission to be an adult anyway, cause... Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another story behind one of my paintings. I'm excited for this one. Alright, so this next piece is a 16 by 20 and there's a big story behind it. It looks like me because, well, it is me. I wanted to paint something that represented what I was going through, and I started this painting when I was actually in my last relationship. We're gonna dive into this one. It's gonna be a deep one. Get your shit kickers on because we're stepping in some deep stuff. So this piece is called The Fire Inside, and I started this painting, like I said, when I was in my last relationship, and not saying anything bad about this person, just wasn't the one for me. I will keep repeating myself on that. But things started to really click in my brain as far as the people I was picking, as far as the patterns that I was, repeating that wasn't working for me. And this person in particular, I think it was around Christmas time that I ended up maybe finishing this piece, maybe shortly after. No, it wasn't. I finished it that next spring. But anyway, when I started this painting, there was a moment in his kitchen where I was sitting there crying, and I'm not saying this to make anyone feel bad for me. This is just how it went down. I was crying because I missed my mom, and I was crying because I just felt like I've never really felt like I could be vulnerable around anyone that I've ever dated. Like, my feelings or my emotions were too much for them, so I kind of started stuffing things down and kind of hiding in a corner and crying about it, because my feelings, ever since, I was this big, I've been told that my emotions are basically too much. And so I've dealt with a lot of things by myself. Well, I'm sitting on his kitchen floor in his house, and he comes in, he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm sitting there bawling. I'm like, "I'm fine, like I'll be to bed shortly." And he's like, "Are you coming to bed?" And I just sat there, and it dawned on me, he just left me there to cry by myself. And now I don't think that this person is a bad person. I think that he just didn't know how to deal with my emotions because he wasn't facing himself. And I'll never forget how that made me feel, whether it was intentional or not. But I could never imagine leaving somebody sitting there crying by themselves. Like, if you're crying, I'm crying too, because I don't want you to hurt. I don't care who you are. I don't even care if you're a stranger. I'm gonna sit by your side until you feel better. But I think that that's where I learned where I was different, in a sense where I was like, is this really what I want for 30 years? Is this really what I want for my life? And I believe that people can change, but there's a difference between people wanting to and you feeling like you need to fix them. And I think in that moment I realized that I couldn't fix him. It wasn't my job to fix him. And I tried really hard to hang on to this thing that was falling through my fingers, it was falling through my grasp, and I was like, I couldn't hang on anymore. And this was a very pivotal moment for me because I was dealing with some deep emotions and this fire inside of me. That's the name of this painting. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but it's called The Fire Inside. And this quote here says, "The fire inside her burned brighter than the fire around her." And I have this burning passion and desire for art. I have this burning passion and desire for spreading mental health awareness. I have this deep burning passion within myself to be great at a lot of things. And with all of the great things that maybe people think that I've accomplished, there comes with this internal struggle or this internal battle that I went through to get to where I'm at today. And I'd be lying if I said I didn't still have my moments, but it's nothing compared to how it used to be. And I had this perception in my mind that when you dated somebody, you couldn't express yourself. When you dated somebody, you couldn't be you. I kind of wore this mask in past relationships, and I wore this mask of pretending like I was okay when I wasn't. And I didn't realize, but I was, not only were they falling in love with a fake version of me, but it was conditioning them to be like, "Oh my God, well, she was fine in the beginning, what now?" You know what I mean? Like, I had this perfectionism about myself, and I thought I had to do everything perfectly, and I thought I had to be this perfect person. And I think, at 31, it's a lot different than where I was at when I was, 28, 29, when I broke up with this person. And I learned a lot about myself, and I learned a lot about what I'm gonna tolerate. I was feeding so much of myself into this relationship that I forgot what I like to do. I sacrificed my own well-being. Things were holding on by a thread. Like, this relationship was really hard. And I believe that relationships take work, but I don't think that they should be that hard. I think that we were both two broken people that were trying to make something work, and we just weren't compatible. And that's just the reality of what things ended up being. And I accept it. You know, I've moved on with my life, and I wouldn't trade any of my experiences for the world, but this is the internal battle that I was facing. All of these elements, I feel like there were all of these parts of myself that I was fighting with. There were all of these parts of myself that I was hiding. There were all of these parts of myself that I felt like I couldn't express fully. I couldn't fully be vulnerable. I couldn't fully be myself. I couldn't fully express how I feel. And I've noticed a trend even in my friendships, like I'm the person that's there, but they don't know how to be there for me. And it's not that it's their fault. I think I just need to make different choices in who, you know, I choose to be really close in my life. I don't want people turning things around on me. Like, I've learned a lot, and this is the storm within myself. It's like this internal conflict and this internal battle, and I feel like as humans, we're a lot like nature. We have storms, we have beautiful seasons, we have a season of fall, we have a seasons of loss, we have seasons of rebirth, we have seasons of renewal. We have all of these different phases and these different pockets within ourselves. And little did I know that this pain that I was going through during the time of painting this, it was igniting me to where I'm at today. And am I exactly where I wanted to be or thought I would be, you know, over 2 years ago? No. But I think I've reached a place in my life where I can accept where I'm at, because had it happened earlier, I don't know if I would have been able to handle success, you know, like I could now, or maybe later in the future whenever it happens. But yeah, this flower represents being delicate. There's a softness to myself, and I felt like I had to be hard in my life. I had to put on this persona of I was okay, I didn't need anybody to comfort me, I didn't need anybody's help. And that's one thing that I really struggle with, because throughout my life I've been conditioned that my feelings and my emotions are too much. And I think, you know, we got to be very careful as sensitive, you know, if you're a highly sensitive person like myself, we have to be extremely careful of who we let hold our heart in their hands. You know, it's about protecting ourselves, not to a place where you're like, I don't trust this person, I don't trust that person, but protecting yourself to a point of guarding your heart and following your intuition and following that gut feeling inside, and really being honest with yourself about what you want in a relationship, really being honest with yourself about where you stand with somebody. You can't change anyone. It's not people aren't a project. And I've had people try and fix me, and so now I know what that feels like. And I think, you know, if I want to be accepted for who I am, I need to accept that person for who they are, whether they're a romantic partner, whether they're a friend, whether they're a family member. And it's one thing that I continually work on, and it's one thing that I struggle with, but there's this burning passion inside of myself, and without all of his struggle, I wouldn't have created all of this, as much as that really freaking sucks to say sometimes. Sometimes life is hard. Sometimes life sucks, but there's so many beautiful moments. And I talked about this in my last video that I created. It was my last sit down video for my painting called Life is Short, Stay Awake for It. Life is beautiful, and there's so many times where I find myself taking things way too seriously and have to like stop myself, cry about it, dust myself off, and stand back up and stand tall. That is this painting. It's about being resilient. It's about facing the fire. It's about facing yourself. It's about working on your shit and trying to get better. And another thing that I learned is I'm not ever gonna be perfect. There's never gonna be a perfect moment when it's exact perfect time to like get back into, you know, dating again and stuff like that. And I talk about a lot of this because one of my main I can't even talk today. One of my defaults is feeling like I'll never be ready, or feeling like I'm not worthy enough, or feeling like I'm not good enough. And it took me all of that fire inside to get to a place where I did start believing that I do deserve somebody who's going to hold my heart with love and grace and treat me with respect and care about my feelings and care about my dreams and support me and root me on, and not, you know, me feeding every single thing that I have into this relationship. I feel like with the right person, you better each other. You want more out of life because you inspire each other to be the best version of yourself. And until I have that, I'm not settling, and I don't think you should either. So anyways, that is the story behind this. I will have prints soon. This is a 16 by 20 inch. I do have a matte clear coat finish on it. There were several hours into this. It's not perfect, but it is in its own way. So if you're interested in any of my artwork, I have greeting cards, stickers, prints, hand-poured soy candles, handmade jewelry. I have all the things. My website is www.rockenbakken.com. If you are a new person, please feel free to subscribe because while we're trying to get monetized here, I'm roughly, it's today, Thursday, May 15th, and I need roughly 1,055 hours of watch time. So if you could do me a solid, please subscribe. Helps when you watch the video to the end. It helps when you like the video. It helps when you comment. All that stuff coincides. Don't like to be that person, but I'm being that person because I've been on here for a hot minute. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and you gained something from it. If there's a fire and burning passion or fire inside of you, drop me a comment down below. Let me know where you're at in life. And, you know, how life is beautiful. Tell me about your weeks. Tell me something good out of your week. So, we'll leave it at that. Anyway, I hope you have a great rest of your day. And until next time, home bitches, peace the F out. It's been real. Bye!